let's get started with your top story this morning, which is the Build Back Better blah. President Biden announcing yesterday that he's got a plan finally before he left for Rome as part of the COP. What is it called? The COP
26.
COP 26. I can't keep all these names. The G7.
Carbon something.
The COP 9.
Yeah.
COPA.
It's like, we're going in there to fix stuff.
I went to the COPA Feel conference.
Did you?
Time. Yeah. Tickets are hard to get.
Okay, and was it legal?
No.
Okay, thanks for sharing.
But we did lower our carbon footprint by going to the COPA Feel conference. That's what President Biden is doing right now. He's in Rome, and before he left, of course, he rolled out this new Build Back Better plan that is about half of what he wanted. Here is the President of the United States speaking yesterday, right before he left for the COPA Feel conference.
We actually reduced the deficit, according to economists. I want to thank my colleagues in the Congress for their leadership. We spent hours and hours and hours over months and months working on this. No one got everything they wanted, including me. But that's what compromise is. That's consensus. And that's what I ran on. I've long said compromise and consensus are the only way to get big things done in a democracy. Important things done for the country. I know it's hard. I know how deeply people feel about the things that they fight for. But this framework includes historic investments in our nation and in our people. Any single element of this framework would fundamentally be viewed as a fundamental change in America.
Okay, so
he wants to thank his colleagues, and he says that's compromise. Meanwhile, no Republicans were involved in the filming of this project. No animals were harmed in the filming of this project.
Right,
no
absolutely.
Republicans were involved in the discussion at all. So where's the compromise?
He compromised with his own party.
Right.
And so the plan was to have this ready by the time he departed for Europe. Mm-hmm. It was, but they were trying to vote on it last night. And they did not. Why? Because of what is in the meat and bones of it, right? Like it's kind of a skinny. It's a fat-free latte. It's fat-free milk, right? Like you're getting something,
right?
But it's been stripped of a lot of the stuff that we thought was going to be in there.
It's like a family that's getting ready to have Thanksgiving, and they're like, okay, who's bringing what food? We're going to all compromise, and somebody's going to bring turkey, and somebody's going to bring potatoes, but they're not going to bring enough for everybody. It's like, I'm going to bring half a turkey, but there's 25 people. Well, we're compromising. Like, we're not bringing the whole thing, so we're just going to have to each pick off a little tiny piece.
It's like that year I forgot the sweet potatoes.
Oh,
that was my one thing to get. And then we get 2 hours down the road and I'm like, the sweet potatoes, they're in the fridge.
She had roasted them for 2 days.
Yeah.
And they were in the oven back home where we left.
We did eat them, but
we drove 2 hours.
We had to find some frozen ones.
We ended up getting frozen, what was it, like frozen
They were like
patties.
little medallions. Like that. It was stupid.
It was not good. It was not good.
Yeah.
Hey, that's compromise.
That is, right. I suppose, that is not compromise. That is... adapting, I suppose.
So let's look at where this thing started, okay? So remember back in June, right? So Democrats are eyeing the $6 trillion plan on infrastructure, Medicare, and immigration, okay? That was in June, right? And then Senator Joe Manchin calls for up to $4 trillion in infrastructure spending as Democrats are poised to control Congress. Remember, this was during the campaign, right? This was them running for all of this, right? Then... a little bit later, Biden sets a 1.9 to 2.2 trillion price range for the social safety net in a call with the House progressives. Okay, so it keeps dropping. And then yesterday, Biden at the Capitol pitches his 1.75 trillion agenda to unite Democrats.
Okay, but the way that you're reading this, you're kind of poking fun that it's shrunk down.
Yeah.
I understand that.
I'm glad you picked up on that.
But do you think that it should have ever been $6 trillion? We can't even afford $1 trillion.
Well, can we afford,
we can always afford it when it's war.
Exactly. This is over, by the way. This is not in 1 year. This is going to be spread over almost like 10 to 15 years.
Yes.
Okay. So if you add up the $800 billion that we spend per year on bombing and killing brown people in all parts of the world.
But we have not committed to stopping that. So if we continue to, it's like, we got to keep our, subscription to this Netflix of bombing the world.
Okay, so we got to keep that going.
So that is this sort of understanding. I'm not saying we should, right?
No.
But
so
under
the American
current
people shouldn't
budget,
get anything. The American
I'm not
people,
saying that
The
either.
American people shouldn't get anything until we stop all of these
But
wars
that's
around the world.
not on the table. Canceling that Netflix subscription has never been on the table.
Well, it was
They
on
need
the table.
Truebill.
They need
Yes.
Truebill. Yeah, they need our sponsor, Truebill.
I cancel Uganda. I cancel Somalia.
Oh my God, that would be
I'm
great.
still bombing
Yeah.
them. I didn't
Did
know
you know
it.
we were?
David didn't even realize he was still bombing Ethiopia. Wow, thank you. I got rid of this thanks to Truebill. Truebill, please continue to remain a sponsor of our show. You save us money, and you could actually save us from war. So that's absolutely true. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, about a month ago, brought forth a bill on the House of Representatives floor to reduce the
Yes.
military budget by 10%.
Yes.
It wasn't even brought to the floor. It was laughed out of Congress.
No.
So
It was used as
on
toilet
the
paper.
table. Yeah. But nevertheless, let's go through exactly what's in this. We had a lot of questions this morning as to what is in this thing. And as President Biden said at the beginning, he didn't get a lot of what he wanted. And I think the American people didn't get a lot of what they wanted. That's why I called this Build Back Blah. Okay, so Natalie, you have the list here. Let's go through what's in this thing.
Okay. Can you pull it up then full screen, or
Okay.
would you
Yes,
rather not?
I do. Yes, let's do it.
I can read it,
There.
but okay. Hopefully you at home can read it. So the bulk of it is going to be childcare and preschool, and then home care for elderly people. You're moving it, and I can't read it now.
Oh, no. Okay.
Go back. Okay,
all
I
right.
have it on my own. I have it on my own screen. Sorry. Let me look at my own notes.
Good idea.
Okay. Child tax and earned income credit was the president had wanted to extend this indefinitely. This is the $500 or per child approximately payment that everyone with children has been getting, plus the earned income tax credit. Again, he wanted this to be permanent. In the bill now, it goes through the end of next year. And then inevitably, I don't know what, we argue about it again, I suppose. Clean energy and climate investments. Now, there's a different chart that will tell you specifically what this is and what it will offset. We'll get to that next. There's also ACA credits, including in other states, and Medicaid hearings. So these are all sort of medical type expenditures. Housing.
So we do get the hearing tests or the hearing coverage for Medicare.
We will get some of that. Now, I am not, if it's run anything like Medicare Plan D, which is prescription medicine, I am not at all confident that it will be any good or actually provide you with quality, affordable healthcare. But nevertheless, that is the intention, I suppose.
Sad trombone.
Now, higher ed and workforce. Are we under the impression that this is some type of community college that will be run through federal government? Not sure. Equity and other investments. And then immigration. I'm not sure why that's like under the total in that way. That's unclear. Now, I didn't make this chart. This is from whitehouse.gov.
No, because let me just be clear. If you made the chart, we would understand it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice of you to say that
Yeah.
about my Excel skills. Yes.
See, guys, I hope you're paying attention.
This is how you get to the heart of a lady. Is you
right.
compliment her charts.
Compliment her charts.
Yeah.
And her pumpkin soup.
We have a lot of shared spreadsheets, and I'm always telling Clayton, do not change the format. Don't move things around. Don't change the font. Don't change the color.
Yeah.
I would not have put a chart like that. There's actually a pretty good one in the Wall Street Journal too that sort of shows where these things are weighted. And again, it's aimed at parents, but there's nothing here for paid parental leave. It's like you get the money for child tax credits, and then maybe you pay a babysitter. So we don't value spending time with your own kids, I suppose. I mean, who does, right?
Right. Exactly.
And
well, we should talk about some of the things that failed to make it in here.
okay, all right.
This is in the Washington Post this morning. Many campaign promises failed to make Biden's framework as Democrats begin coming to terms with a shrunken agenda. You don't want shrunken agenda. That's not a good thing.
Is there a pill for that?
Yeah. The new $1.75 trillion framework in Biden's morning sojourn to the Capitol did not appear to seal a final deal, the Washington Post writes. So besides the prescription drug plan, Democrats have moved to discard plans to raise the corporate tax rate, levy a new wealth tax on the assets of billionaires, implement a new renewable energy program for power utilities. Like, this is supposed to be the big climate, right?
Yes.
He's at the COPPA 20, COPPA whatever conference, and he's there to talk about how America is going to be a leader on climate, right? Democrats control the White House. Democrats control the House. Democrats control the Senate. And this is all we get. Mandate paid sick and family leave gone.
Yes.
And by the way, it's really interesting to see that the person responsible for this is none other than Joe Manchin. And this is an interesting piece in The Guardian this morning. Joe Manchin single-handedly denied U.S. families paid family leave. That's just cruel, writes Joe.
Those senators should not have that much power, period.
Yeah. This one guy, Joe Manchin from West Virginia, says no to paid family leave. The worst in the world. I mean, you think about Europe, you think about the other parts of the world that have at least, we have zero paid family leave.
I don't think he needs to leave and take care of a child anytime soon.
No,
he's not interested in that.
No, but I love how he started out by saying he wanted $4 trillion. And then once they win the election, he's like, I can't even possibly come near this number. I can't get anywhere near this number.
So how are we going to pay for this then? The bill adds 5% income tax to Americans making more than $10 million and another 3% on Americans making more than $25 million. So it is a tax to the millionaires. It is no longer a tax to the trillionaires or billionaires, I suppose. That was
pretty soon we're going to have trillionaires, by the way.
We,
well, not you and me. I mean...
We are not trillionaires.
We are not trillionaires. But Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk are combined now $1 trillion. So, hey, they're pretty soon. Who's going to be the first trillionaire? Is it going to be Elon or Jeff Bezos?
I don't know.
I swore I heard that Bezos broke that at one point, but...
I think that it is usually dependent on Amazon's cap rate. And so when it passes a certain threshold, he may have at some point and then come back down. We're going to talk later about Amazon earnings.
You know what I would like to see? Clayton and I, we were talking about how, or I sent you a link. I don't know if you read it, but 9 new billionaires were created during this. 9 new pharmaceutical billionaires were created during this pandemic, right?
Oh my goodness.
I would like to see how many of these senators and congresspeople have benefited during this time with all this stuff. Like, who is paying Senator Manchin for him to deny people medical leave? Like, that makes zero sense. What does it matter to him? That's because somebody paid.
It matters to business that don't want to pay for it because that's expensive, right? To hold a job for someone who's off taking care of a child.
So prescription drugs, I mean, Democrats had an opportunity. They campaign on this stuff, right? They're out there.
Yes, they do. You're right.
They're telling us that, and Bernie Sanders particularly, he was out there. He's telling us these are the...
Mr. President, in this moment of
Can you turn that down? Way down.
Unprecedented crises.
Sorry.
It's okay.
The Senate must respond.
Yeah. He campaigned on this, lowering prescription drugs.
So do you think he would have been able to do better? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, he wouldn't have... I don't think he would have been sitting there compromising with Joe Manchin. That's for sure.
I think he would have done the executive orders with the things he could have right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he has the opportunity to wipe away student loan debt with an executive order, and he did, and President Biden has not done that.
Made marijuana legal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Look at Canada. What it's already doing with businesses for CBD and cannabis cultivation. So, yeah.
Now this bill still could die because the House, despite all of this, right?
So Natalie steps in with the silver lining.
The thing is, so I've been comparing it to getting your kids. If you have any more than 2 kids and you try and get them out of the house in the morning, especially in the day and age of masks, it's you can't find your shoes, you can't find your water bottle, you can't find your backpack, you can't find your mask, you can't find your coat, you can't find your snack box. This is what it's been like. You get over here. Oh, are you happy now? Are you set up? Wait, you come back here. What,
Right.
It's crazy. And so now we could have all of this. Everyone's got their coat on. And it could just not be voted upon because progressives don't like it, right? And it doesn't accomplish, because the point is that if there's so little in the bill for the things that we wanted, right? This much money is not enough money for every pre-K child to have pre-K education. It's not. So who has to compromise? Who will get it? Who will not get it that needs it, right? And so these progressives are saying, no, this is not going to help us. So forget it. So it could be that you suit up all your kids and then you don't get to leave the house.
Oh my God.
Well, that's like, I always ask that question. It's like when they say, hey, this bill is going to benefit and take 50% of children out of poverty. It's like you're literally looking at 50% of kids. It's like you've got all these kids standing in this big area and you look at half of them and get, you don't get to eat, but the rest of you, let's go.
Yeah.
Yes. Because the devil is in the details. Like, how do you implement this when you cannot afford it for every single person?
I mean, to me, it's a scam. Like, this whole thing is a scam, a sham, whatever you want to say. Like, progressives were calling for, making America competitive so that we could actually afford prescription drugs in the United States. The fact that a huge chunk of people's paychecks go to pay for an inhaler or their medications.
Yes.
Let me know in the chat this morning, everyone watching right now, drop me a comment. Like, how much are you paying per month for medications? And Democrats run the show now. They can't blame Mitch McConnell. They can't blame Republicans. Right. They can't blame Trump for runaway prescription drugs. They can only blame themselves.
And think about that.
For not having this in here.
That's probably a strategy, because if they help 50% of these kids or 50% of these people, there's a voting bloc that's going to be like, hey, they helped me. Like, they gave me money. I got through this pandemic just fine, while the other 50% didn't. You've got 50% of people now that are happy with what you've done.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, and I think President Biden has not shown any leadership on this. I think he's totally punted the ball to moderates in the party.
Come on, man.
I'm sorry, but it's true. It absolutely is the case, Joe. And you've had, like, beside the prescription drug plan, you think about the corporate tax rate. So we can't even go back to at least a slight percentage of where we were under the Trump tax cuts. Give me a break. And then implement new renewable energy programs. Like, this is what the progressives have been calling for. A new renewable energy infrastructure in this country. Are you kidding me? We're going to talk about big oil in just a second, who got burned in Congress yesterday. Well, it doesn't matter. They can sit there and they can burn big oil in front of Congress, but nothing's going to change. I mean, nothing's going to change if these guys don't fix it. What really bothers me, what really chaps my ass in this whole thing, though, is the paid family leave. And people saying, well, what do you want to end up like Europe? Yeah, maybe we do want to end up like Europe. Maybe the United States should pay attention to how well families are living in Norway and Europe and all across Europe.
Yeah.
Yesterday,
You remember that?
Yesterday, there was I want to play this because I'm sort of leading up to this. The author of the book Eurotrash, like, the whole premise of this book basically is how we do not want to wind up like Europe, right? So he was on television yesterday talking about how Americans, you're already spoiled. You don't need any money. You don't need any help when it comes to healthcare. You don't need prescription drug prices to be lowered. You don't need paid family medical leave.
You carve up food for fun.
Yeah, right. You're food insecure for fun. You don't want to look like Europe. This is the whole premise of his little rant here, and it gets under my skin.
We have incrementally headed towards a European state where we have a giant top-down economy, where it stifles innovation, where it creates dependency. And it seems increasingly that progressives are taking over the Democratic Party, and this is the state that they envision. They envision Denmark, they envision France. The problem is it's even worse in a way because they don't actually want people to pay for it. They just want, either to create more debt or have just rich people pay for it, which is not how it works in Europe at all.
You talk about the European culture as a culture of victimhood, and they say that meritocracy doesn't exist. Why are the two axioms important to tell the American story?
Well, because we excel at almost in every quantifiable way possible. We excel economically over Europeans. It's not because we're smarter or born better. It's because we have a system that is about risk, that embraces risk taking, that is entrepreneurial, that rewards people for the things that they invent and do with money or with, with riches and fame and all those things. In Europe, it's a much more docile and pliable population, and they embrace safety over risk most often, and we don't do that here. But we're creating a system that incentivizes people to do that, and that would be a big mistake.
I love
These
this
are
survey
incredibly
that you
gross
included in one of your columns, the World Value
generalizations.
Survey. 70% of Americans still believe that the poor can escape poverty if they work hard enough. Only 35% of Europeans think that. That's the American spirit.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, people don't realize how wealthy they are. I'll give you a quick example. If Britain was a state, if we invaded Britain and made them a state, they'd be the second poorest state per capita in the United States after Mississippi. We are far more successful than European nations, and I think the writers at the New York Times and elsewhere, they don't realize that, or they try to trick people into believing it's not true.
We're also the kindest, most charitable state. We like to rip on ourselves all the time, but we give more money than many countries' GDP.
Absolutely. An average American gives 7 times as much as the average European. Now, the European will say, hey, we pay a lot in taxes, so that's don't give charity. Well, yeah, that's the problem. When you give charity, you give to your local community, you build bonds with your neighbors and your church and and local, but you can't do that when government elbows out charity.
And the thing
So America, you guys are super wealthy, and you guys just want.
You never
handouts.
had it so good.
You never had it so good. Yeah,
It's funny. They just all measure this by Wall Street. Like, that's their measurement.
right. Yeah. So we're really rich. We have so much money. Yeah. Who controls the most wealth in the United States? It's the top 1%.
Right. And think about this trade-off that he just said. Like, we give away so much money because in Europe, they don't need to donate to causes like, if I'm European, I don't have to donate to the local preschool because guess what? My tax money funds it.
Well, and you know what?
That's a bad thing that you don't have to donate because the state is actually taking care of basic
churches,
liberties.
All of these churches have to get together to try to get food to people because guess what? All these people are food insecure.
Like you want to donate to the church to do that, right? Not pay it in your taxes.
Right.
Well, and think about all these people that have to do GoFundMes and crowdfunding things to get their medical bills paid.
Right.
Yes.
That they wouldn't have to do.
So Americans are giving so much to charities to help all of these GoFundMes for people that can't afford their medical costs or funeral costs. I mean, think how many during the pandemic we've seen how many funeral costs of it's been ridiculous.
Yes.
Anyway,
Absolutely.
So yeah, Americans, you guys are already wealthy according to this guy, and we certainly don't want to be like the rest of Europe, for crying out loud. Anyway, that's where we are in the current Build Back Blah plan. And again, to Natalie's point, it could still fail, right? Because where are we at on the timeline on this? I mean, President Biden is now at this COP conference or whatever in Europe, in Rome, meeting with the Pope today. And then Democrats have to try to push this through the House to get it over to the Senate. And there's no clear sign that this is, by the way, that guy said the progressives are running the show. Progressives just got their hats handed to them.
Yes.
Like, let me just articulate this. Everything that the progressives wanted here in the plan. Look at this. All gone. Renewable energy program, paid family leave, American expanding Medicare over vision, dental.
I don't think that's a highlighter, honey.
Oh, I'm blocking it out. Sorry.
No, it is, isn't it?
It is a highlighter.
It doesn't look there. Okay.
All right. How about this?
Okay, do that.
How about that? These are all the things that progressives did not get. Sad face, sad face. See? Angry face. Angry.
See, that's not a highlighter.
See these are
That's a disease.
These are progressives. That's what progressives didn't
They look
get.
like that today.
Yeah.
Thumbs down.
Down here drawing. Anyway.
I had a point and then I got distracted by your sort of sloppy highlighting. I don't know what it is. It was something about that okay. So if you read the newsletter today, there's a story about this stimulus program, Universal Basic Income in Alaska. And a sociologist was able to look at what happens when people have some reliable income to raise their kids. Guess what? They use it to raise said kids. Wow. So for now, we know the childhood tax credit will go at least through December. And this bill will make it so it goes another year round, right? But it very well could die with this bill and stop in December. So those of you who have been enjoying a little security to feed your kids, don't get used to it. It may or may not be here to stay.
Unbelievable.
Well, and think about it. Even if somebody gets we can't have people having savings or whatever. Even if people go out and blow the stimulus money that they get on stupid stuff, at least they're not hoarding it like the wealthy, and it's going back into the economy, and it's going back to the businesses. It's going, Right.
Yes. But every social study we've seen on universal basic income shows that it actually does get used to pay, say, a flat tire, back bills, grocery bills. Like, no one is saying, oh, great, Junior, I got some money to raise you, but I'm going to buy some lipstick, or, it just doesn't work that way.
No, they're buying groceries, they're spending it on their kids.
The basic human need to take care of your offspring. It's not even a human need. Like, every living creature takes care of its perpetuated species, especially the ones that you procreate. It's like, this should be something we agree on. Yes. Everybody wants to take care of their offspring. Everybody. And
I got to be honest with you. Sometimes I don't want to.
Well, that doesn't mean you want to actually do the labor of putting them in bed and
putting them to bed. I'm like,
last night we got off the show and I was getting ready to go to my book club and talk, sort of going through the schedule, and we were still on with David, and I was like, "You're on bedtime tonight, honey," and he goes, "Oh, is that innuendo for you guys are gonna have a private night?" And I was like, "No, it means he's putting the kids to bed."
No, that means I'm on teeth brushing duty. I'm on.
It means he had to do the baths, the stories, because I went to book club.
Oh, I was supposed to give them baths?
I know they had baths.
No, I know that.
The girl's hair was still a little bit wet this morning because you put them to bed with wet hair.
Well, that wasn't in the instructions. That wasn't in the instruction manual. No.
Okay, chat. Let's get out of here for a little bit. We'll be right back, you guys.
Sorry.
We've got some stuff to deal with.
Yeah. You don't give me pajamas, my daughter says. He's like, bedtime, get in there.
Yeah, I don't care what you're wearing. You're wearing the same clothes you had from school? I don't care. Get in there. But they're jeans, Daddy. I don't care. You're 20 minutes past
Daddy,
bedtime.
You don't give me
Can I
pajamas.
at least take my shoes off?
Nope. You missed your opportunity.